Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's jump into today's story where a new railway employee gets stuck with a micromanaging boss who takes the term power trip to a whole new level. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. The safety standoff that bottlenecked a railway tyrant. It's going to sound like it's fairly reasonable to start, but trust me, it gets silly real quick. Had just started work at one of the big railway companies as a safety officer / customer service rep. Now, as you can imagine, that's basically herding sheep and not very effectively. People have places to go, but I'd rather they didn't end up dead. During probation, one of the bosses got moved to my station. Now, this guy could not have fit the police description of up his boss's butt more if he'd tried. Looked like he spent the last 40 years dreaming of having a badge on with significance, and by God, he was going to use it. On the platform of every station, there's a yellow line on the floor, a few feet from the edge, to signify where not to walk lest the turbulence turns you into a train's doormat. Simple stuff, and when a train's pulling up, you're to keep everyone behind it. No issue so far. That's literally my job. Now, for weeks, he'd been a stickler for his way, but he would mask it as this came from head office. But on this particular day, whatever bee was in his bonnet came out in full force, and he was masking nothing. Once a train was stopped, so long as you don't have a full gaggle at the door, we usually have no issues with one or two people. You know, the London crowd who won't wait, being next to the door ready. It's efficient, if nothing else. The train had stopped. 3 people were waiting for the doors to open. They did. The train left. This guy starts shouting from literally the other platform in front of other travelers, roasting the crap out of me. Safety, yes, but this was obscene. So he decided to enact a rule of his own. If you want to pass the probation, I want to see everyone behind that yellow line for a full 30 seconds before you signal to let the doors open. If a single person moves, you talk to them about safety and wait again. So let me get this straight. That 30 seconds resets for every time someone else doesn't listen and crosses the line? Did I stutter? Did you effing what? Oh, you're on, sweet child. Across that day, I was honestly looking at my watch more than I was anything else. Remember, it's for your safety after all. Plot twist, dual line station. One into the city, one on the way to London. No way past it. If a train's delayed, nothing else moves. Cue about 2 hours later, and sure enough, the dweeb butt manager comes charging down the platform. What the hell are all these delays for? I've got a head office tearing us a new one. Just making sure we adhere to the 30 seconds, boss. I've never had so much feedback about safety. Well, the feedback I'm getting is we now have a near 10 train bottleneck at this station. Firstly, it's you have a bottleneck, not us. Second, I'm merely doing exactly as you asked. His face dropped, clearly understanding what had happened. Right, then, well, you can talk to the area manager and explain this for yourself because he's going to be here in about 15 minutes. He's coming here? Haha, deal. Did he go as white as a ghost? Yes. Did he try stopping me seeing the area manager? Yes. Was he successful? Hell no. What ensued was maybe a 20-minute conversation between me and the area manager, me finding out that this manager had been moved more than a few times for various issues. The meeting between them two lasted probably 90 seconds, if that, and then a very sheepish-looking manager slowly slinked up to me and in the lowest voice ever said, "You're doing a good job. I trust you to use your judgment with the onboarding process," and then immediately scuttled away. He's moved on since, but apparently it was a personal request this time. Can't think why. The way OP flipped the ridiculous rule back on his boss is pure gold. Like if someone sets you up with an impossible to follow policy and then blames you when it backfires, they deserve the fallout. If I were in OP's shoes, I'd have been thrilled to see the area manager show up. There's nothing better than watching someone like that get called out by their own superior. And our second story. Karen and the case of the misguided baking soda hunt. A few years ago, I was on my lunch break from my old job. I worked in a department store selling makeup, skincare, etc. We didn't really have a uniform per se, but just had to wear neat black clothing. We had a bright orange lanyard with my work's name emblazoned all over it to keep our store/locker's keys on. We also wore a name badge with the store's colors and name. I usually like to take it off when I left the store. I didn't like so many randoms knowing my name if I could help it. Anyway, for some reason, I always get asked questions assuming I work there when I go into other stores. It happens to me all the time, even in my casual clothes. Is it me? Does my face or demeanor shout overworked, underpaid retail worker? I shudder to think. So anyway, I'm in the supermarket, literally bending down, checking out the tampons, pondering if I can withstand another day of retail hell without snapping and losing it. This older woman approaches me and just stands beside me. She doesn't move for a while, so I look up and smile at her, about to apologize, thinking maybe she needs some tampons too and I'm in the way. But no, she gives me this finally, I've been standing here for 45 minutes look, I know all too well. Can you tell me where the baking soda is? She practically growls. I'm sorry, I don't work here, I say, still crouched on the ground like a gremlin. You mean you don't work in that department? No, I deadpan, I don't work here. I touch my lanyard with my work clearly written on it, and she looks at me like I've grown another head. So you're not going to tell me where it is? By this stage, I'm actually concerned this woman is actually insane, so I stand up and tap my badge again slowly, saying the words to her like you would the dumbest kid you've ever met. I do not work here at this store. Okay? I gesture around me, then back to the name of my work hanging around my neck, printed roughly 15 times. She glares at me, thinking that she can scare or intimidate me, but she doesn't realize I've been desensitized to Karen wildness since my first retail job at 15. She scoffs, mutters something about me being extremely rude, then heads off to berate some other poor innocent soul. Funny thing is, I worked at my job for almost 7 years and frequented the supermarket so often I probably could have told her where to find the baking soda, but I hate rewarding bad behavior. So that, people, is why I no longer work in retail. It's astonishing how they never realize how absurdly rude they themselves are with their seriously bad attitude and bad manners. It's like Karens have this incredible ability to completely lack self-awareness. They storm in with demands, act like the world revolves around them, and somehow think you're the rude one for not immediately catering to their every whim. And our last story. The fence that shut down the neighbor from hell. 2 years ago, I bought what I thought would be my dream home, a cozy house with a backyard I'd always wanted. Unfortunately, I didn't realize I was moving in next door to them. My neighbors are the definition of rude and disrespectful. The family constantly encroaches on my property without a care in the world. Their fully grown son, who I'm convinced is a gang member based on his ever-present red bandana, flashy Cadillac, and shady driveway business, has made it clear that my boundaries mean nothing. And by boundaries, I mean both physical and emotional ones. At first, I tried the friendly approach. When they drove across my lawn to get around their double-parked driveway, I'd politely ask them to stop. They either ignored me or laughed it off with excuses like, it's just grass, or relax, it's not a big deal. Then came the pool incidents. I'd come home to find the son and his friends in my pool, lounging like they were at a resort. I'd ask them to leave, and they'd act like I was the one being rude. The last straw came a couple of weeks ago when the son outright told me to F off, and what are you going to do about it after I confronted him? Honestly, I was scared. The guy looks like trouble, and I didn't want to risk escalating the situation. But enough was enough. I installed security cameras all over my property, hoping the footage might at least give me some recourse if things got worse. It didn't take long for them to give me something to record. This morning I woke up to find fresh tire tracks cutting across my lawn again, deep, muddy ruts like they'd done donuts for fun. This wasn't just rude, it was malicious. I reviewed my camera footage, and sure enough, there it was. At midnight, the son had backed his car out of his driveway, swung across my lawn like it was his personal racetrack, and sped off. The footage showed him laughing as if he thought it was hilarious. I stood there fuming, staring at the screen. If they didn't care about words, maybe they'd care about action. So I did the one thing I'd been putting off for too long. I called a contractor to install a fence. Friday couldn't come soon enough. I dug out my property survey and deed, triple-checked my boundaries, and confirmed everything was in order. There would be no question about the legality of this fence. I even measured out the placement to ensure it was well within my property lines. When the contractors arrived, they worked quickly and efficiently, digging post holes and setting up the 20-foot chain link barrier that would finally give me some peace of mind. As they worked, the son came outside, shirtless and annoyed. "What the hell is this?" he demanded, swaggering over. "It's a fence," I said plainly, keeping my voice as calm as possible. "You didn't tell us you were putting up a fence," he snapped, his face turning red. "I didn't realize I needed your permission to secure my property," I shot back, trying to keep my hands from shaking. "This is bullcrap," he yelled. "You think a fence is gonna stop me? You're a joke." At that moment, his mother came outside, classic Karen energy radiating off her in waves. "This is harassment," she shouted. "We've been living here for years, and now you're trying to fence us in like animals?" I pointed to the fresh tire tracks on my lawn. "I'm protecting my property, which you have been treating like a public park. This ends now." Karen lost it, screaming about how I was ruining the neighborhood and causing unnecessary tension. Then she threatened to call the police. "Please do," I said with a smile. "In fact, I already have the footage of your son trespassing and damaging my property. Maybe we can all have a nice chat with the police together." That shut her up real quick. They stormed back inside, slamming the door. Later that day, an officer actually showed up. It turns out Karen really did call the police, claiming I was harassing them. I calmly explained the situation, showed the officer my property deed and survey, and, most importantly, handed over the footage from my cameras. The officer took one look at the video of the son tearing up my lawn and whistled. "Whew, yeah, this fence is the least of their worries," he said. "If they bother you again, give us a call." By the time the fence was completed, I felt like a new person. For the first time in 2 years, I could look at my yard without feeling a pit of anger in my stomach. And as for my neighbors, well, they haven't crossed the fence line since. I also filed for a restraining order just to make it official. My yard is mine again. And let me tell you, that fence is worth every penny. I like how OP handled it. Son's behavior is totally nasty, and Karen claiming harassment while her family destroys OP's property? Putting up the fence was a smart, cool move that could not be argued with, even if they tried. Sometimes the best clapback is just setting firm boundaries, literally and figuratively. What do you guys think? Would you have gone for the fence too, or would you have handled this another way? Maybe small claims court for the property damage? Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.